Hello, welcome to the third channel, The Weird Tide. The channel that tries to act like a TV show but fails miserably. Now, I am quite late to this news, because the news came out on the 17th of September. I've been trying to work out what to do with this news, whether or not I make a video, I make a podcast. I was trying to work out the format, and today I decided, no, I'm just going to go about making a video. Now, the thumbnail, as you can probably tell, is an absolute nightmare, right? Because you try and get the Balamory text, as in not the logo, but the logo for Balamory, right? Which is the show we're talking about today, on the BBC Press website. Looks like that, right? And that isn't the logo that was given in the title sequence. So we try and make it the title sequence. And what you've seen before this is what would have been an intro to a podcast. I thought I would use it just for to show you what it would look like if I made a podcast based on Balamory, the hit children's TV show. So we're going to read the article from BBC Press Release, which is the official source, and then we're going to give my opinions and what I think. And hopefully the thumbnail looks better, because I have tried to dabble with it. So, without further ado, let's crack on. The headline reads, "What's the story of Balamory? Beloved and believed children's series returns to CBBS." Yes. Now, when you read that, before you read the rest of it, you think, what? Of every series? Nope. Series 4 is the only series still of Balamory on the iPlayer, plus the DVDs are actually still available. So, if you want to, well, I mean, they're more available than the Me Too DVDs, as in the other children's show directed by the same, the plays PC Plum, also directing Me Too. So I'm going to discuss that because it's an interesting show, due to the fact that in two children's shows that were around at the same time, like one after the other, shall we say, was two different comedians that are massive now were in it. As in, one was already getting there, and the other one, I think, had just broken into the world of comedy. Anyway, let's continue reading the article. Originally produced, starting in 2002 until 2005, the show will receive a revamp over two decades later, and it was around when I was a child. It was on when I was a child, which says a lot. You can tell. So the people that are talking about Balamory on the internet, the ones that make videos about it, which I don't think there's many, it occurs in a sense that it's that demographic when they were watching it. So it says, so this is from Kate Morton, the head of commissioning 0 to 6 BBC Children's Education. It reads, "The whole new generation will discover and enjoy as we bring families together with with this update for CBBS. It will be a real treat for parents who grew up with the show to now introduce their little ones to brightly coloured world, getting to know a host of old and new characters together." So, in the TV world, with budgets constraints and children's TV not being the forefront of the thought process in TV, it's interesting to see that they're pushing money into this, due to the fact that it's probably cheaper to film this than anything else, due to the original looking set, which was filmed in Tobermory. The houses are still the same colours as they were because the residents kept it like that, right? So they can just go back and film and all be hunky-dory. The pastel-fueled fictional town of Balamory is set to return to screens. BBC Children's and Education have announced. Has announced, but have announced. Commissioned for two new series for CBBS, families will be able to enjoy the homegrown storytelling about the much-loved nursery school from 2026 and will once again be filmed in Scotland. Whether in the original location or Tobermory or other Scottish locations such as Rothney, spelt, with my poor pronunciation of the word, spelt Rothesa. Originally produced with... Right, so, before we get further, before the camera dies, the audio will still record, so we might have some overlap of no visual, just audio, so I do apologise if that is the case. Why... I don't know why they have to decide on other Scottish locations, because when the woman that plays Miss Hooley went with her husband to back to Tobermory to do some wild swimming for their BBC Scotland programme. Her husband's Greg I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, but the boat that helped create Still Game. It's beloved, and I don't think it'd be as loved, and it'd be harder to go, that's not Balamory. Tobermory has got the houses already painted. We don't need... I mean, Rossi, I'm probably mispronouncing, might have more houses for these news characters, but no, it's going to be in Tobermory. If it's not in Tobermory, then it's horrendous, right? It's horrific. So it's like Big Cook, Little Cook. The reboot of Big Cook, Little Cook was horrific, right? It was terrible, just because it didn't have the same connection. It didn't have the same joyous feeling to it that the original did. They didn't even put the original on the iPlayer just to prove the point that there's two different versions. So I think Tobermory will be a massive loss to the show if they decide to go to Rossi. I do think Tobermory needs to be the home, or else the show will just collapse. As well as having the original castmates on board, as many as that's still alive, but the ones... I just... New characters, yes, fine, but keep it in Tobermory. That is my grave opinion. So, it's expected that the new series will be set in the picturesque village of Balamory, where pretty colour houses nestle around a charming harbour with stories centred around a nursery school and their teachers. BBC Children's Education are interested in the idea from producers where some of the original characters will be included in the series alongside hosts of new faces for preschoolers to get to know. So, 2 series will consist of 14 episodes each. Further information and cast details will be announced. Now, what you're about to hear is, I think it's Penny Pocket. She was on her local radio station to talk about Balamory. This is her talking about why she's excited and the words that was used in the article that was the other newspapers talked about that I didn't want to mention here due to the fact that I knew I had that clip lined up. So please enjoy from BBC, I think it's Essex, or it's the local BBC radio station. Please enjoy the clip now.
Balamory is definitely coming back, and it's so exciting. I'm absolutely thrilled for the fans who've campaigned for this for such a long time, and also so excited that a new generation are going to get to see the show. It's brilliant.
Is it going to be the original cast, Kim, or is this going to be a reimagination for the show?
I think the hope is that it will be a mix of old and new, so we'll have that nostalgia, and we'll take some of the old Balamory forward, and then there'll be some new elements. But I can't tell you too much, Gary, I'm afraid, at the minute.
Well, that's all right. I was just fishing. I don't think Balamory would be Balamory without Penny Pocket, played by you.
No.
And I'm just putting that out there, just in case anybody's listening. I want to pour praise on you, because Balamory wasn't just a children's programme. A lot of people took it, and it was way ahead of its time, because you took on issues that other programmes weren't doing at the time. And did you get the sense of that?
Yeah, I think it was groundbreaking at the time. Balamory was really unique. I mean, in having live action characters as well, that was new to preschool television. And I think, it really has set the mark about diversity and inclusion on screen as well. I think the representation was so good. And I think the audience connected with that, the diverse audience saw that, and the children could see themselves on screen. So I think that was part of the appeal of the show. And that just huge sense of community it gave. I think, people felt safe and felt like they belonged with Balamory. They felt so involved in children and parents at the same time.
I remember I was working at Century in Gateshead at the time, and we used to watch it, me and my dear friend Lisa, and we so wanted to go to Balamory, and we even asked our bosses, can we come and do an outside broadcast from Balamory? Because we used to get correspondence coming in, not just from parents and children, but from like students who would love Balamory. You had a real cult following. Did you ever get the sense of that as well?
Absolutely. There was a great student following, and I think it still is. I mean, that's what is amazing. The audience has stayed with us as well. These past 20 years, and, people have gone on to have their own children who are watching the show now. But, new audience, I know my teenage daughter, her friends watch it and are so excited about it coming back to it. It just crosses, generations. It's amazing.
Because the characters, they spoke to everybody. Does the 21st century, 2024, do we need Balamory so that we can have relatable people on our TV screens that everyone can go, that person's like me and they speak to me?
Yeah, I think, I do hope, and I'm sure it will, whatever comes next with Balamory will keep that spirit and that sense of, community and togetherness, and just great entertainment. I mean, wasn't it funny, Gary? The scripts were brilliant, and people could just really escape and have a lovely time, and families could watch it together, and it's like a base of happiness, I think, and that's not a bad thing to have in the world.
Can you see all the different coloured houses sitting by the sea? Well, it's part of the story in Balamory, as which is the house for me.
I agree, and being able to sort of relate to what you watch on the television and get that message across. I love the quote from Julie Wilson-Nimmo, Miss Hooley to everyone who needs to know. This is the comeback everybody wants. Never mind Oasis, Balamory's coming back.
What's the story in Balamory, wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah, it's bigger than Oasis, she said. This is bigger. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Who was your favourite character, other than your own character you play in Balamory?
Oh, Gary, you're asking me to
Come on, Kim.
Oh, I couldn't possibly. I think, Penny had great relationships with all. Maybe it is.
Who was your favourite character, other than your own character you play in Balamory?
Oh, Gary, you're asking me to
Come on, Kim.
Oh, I couldn't possibly. I think, Penny had great relationships with all the characters. I don't know if she had maybe a soft spot for Archie at some point. It was fun, wasn't he? All these inventions, all the million things he could do with yogurt pots. That was very entertaining. And I think she quite liked an adventure with Plummy as well, solving. Penny was quite, the organizer, so I think, all the Plummy and his investigations quite appealed. But, oh no, all the characters were amazing, and I couldn't possibly choose a favourite.
What's the story in Balamory?
And so, there you have it. What a wonderful clip. And it also explains that a reunion is bigger than the Oasis reunion. In my opinion, yes. I mean, I don't mind Oasis, but, Oasis did do the theme tune to the sitcom The Royal Family, but it's Balamory. Anywho, so my opinion on this is, if we can get as much of the original cast back as possible, so PC Plum, Josie Jump, the artist, and I can't remember his name, Spencer, if Miss Hooley, so let's go again. So if we have Miss Hooley, PC Plum, Spencer, the artist, Josie Jump, I think the shop is where it can alter. So Penny Pocket can still work there, but I do know that the older woman that who was the main shop owner, she seemed to do more of the shoppy owner, and she sadly is no longer with us. But Edie McCready, get her back. Miles Jupp is a tricky one. I don't know if he would return as Archie the Inventor. So if he doesn't return, give someone else a pink house. So make it clear in the show that Archie's moved out and that someone else is moving in. To make, I don't know, make episode 1 where the new characters are moving into Balamory, and that the old characters are welcoming them into Balamory, and they've got photos of the cast that aren't there anymore. So I do think, because if you get the majority back, you can then insert, because not all of them are still with us, sadly, which it shows how old. It doesn't show how old the program is. It just shows that sometimes a reunion is always better sooner rather than later, because you never know, and so I can tell you for exactly it's Susie Sweet sadly passed away in 2013, so having a new person joining the shop would work. I don't know which Josie Jump would return, because there was 2 different Josie Jumps, so I think for the sake of this, I would say get the original back, but I don't mind if we get the second Josie Jump. Either if we get Josie Jump, PC Plum, Miss Hooley, Spencer, Edie McCready, and Susie Sweep, not Susie Sweep, Penny Pocket, sorry, then that'd be me sorted. The new characters can be Penny Pocket's new worker that works at the shop with her, and if Archie the Inventor doesn't return, a new character can go there, or I don't know where else new characters could fit in, but I think I don't think Miles Jupp really at this point in his career wants to return. He hasn't made a statement saying he wants to return. He hasn't made a statement he doesn't want to return. I know that PC Plum, the actor that plays PC Plum, the actor that plays Miss Hooley, the actor that plays Spencer, and the one that plays Sue, Penny Pocket, have all said they want to return. But the actor that plays Josie Jump, Archie the Inventor, haven't yet stated they want to return. So if them 2 don't return, I haven't got a grave issue with it, but I do think that's a giant loss to the show. But I think that's when the new characters are coming in. So I will be doing a follow-up to this video, talking about the new cast announcement when that happens, see which characters are returning, because that's our main focus in this, is who's returning, and then we can discuss what we think of the new characters at a later date, because for fans like me, and for my generation and the generation before, I think we want to know who's returning rather than who's new, because who's new is good and happy and all that, but we want to know how much of the original is still there. It's like when you reboot a lot of things rather than revive it, a lot of it's like who's returning. So when you look at the Danger Mouse BBC version, you can't compare it to the original, and you have to at that point, but because this has a lot of the original cast, this is more of a revival rather than a reboot, because there was no actual overarching story that ever in the entire series, so I just think them returning and everything going back to how they do it, and I do think I want the intro and the theme tune to stay the same. So obviously Balamory, Balamory, would you like to know, will stay. I know the tune, but I want them to get the original recordings, like ones that went out, and get that intro, that title sequence in. I don't want it updated. I don't want the theme tune to have a different singer. I want that to be the same. But I wouldn't be that bothered if it changes, like Neighbours. It's still Neighbours, everyone is Neighbours, and Neighbours become good friends, but they have a different singer every so often. So I don't mind that, but I want the original. I want the original, and that's just a nitpick from me. So, are we looking forward to Balamory 2026? Yes. Could it have been any sooner? Well, if they announced it a year prior, they could have done it sooner. But who knows? There has been rumours that the Tweenies might return as well. But according to Bob Golding, a actor who was in the Tweenies, who I have interviewed, he's very nice. he mentioned that DreamWorks somehow has the rights to Tweenies. I don't know much details on that or why DreamWorks has that rights, but that's something to consider. So we might be back talking about another classic children's show. So, who's excited for Balamory like I am? Thank you guys for watching. Time to watch. Bye!